Socrates Kirschweng looks more like a victim than a cold-blooded and cruel killer. But the truth is different. He took the lives of two of his wives and attempted to kill a third. After being captured and convicted, he was released for the sake of his two children, and the carnage continues. Join me today as I take you back to the 20th century. The Bulgarian serial killer, Socrates Kirschweng. Socrates Albert Kirschweng was born around 1882 in the small village of Alino. His mother was Romani Bulgarian and his father was of Greek descent. Unfortunately, he had a slight problem with one of his shoulders from birth. Tragically, his parents passed away when he was very young. Left an orphan, he was sent to Samokov, a nearby town. There, he started working as an apprentice with a local lumberjack. Over time, he honed his skills and became a master in the woodworking trade. Kirschweng was known for his stylish appearance among his co-workers. He dressed in the latest fashion from Paris and wore fancy bow ties from Vienna. His shoes were particularly impressive, as he had them imported from Argentina, making him stand out even more. In 1908, he married a woman named Alina Manova in Samokov. Together, they had two children, a son named Alexander and a daughter named Reina. However, Kirschweng was unhappy with life in the small town and his job. He longed for adventure and a better life, so he left his family behind and moved to Sofia, promising to return with a lot of money. In Sofia, he met a tailor named Vangelia Yurdanova, who sometimes worked for the hospital. She quickly fell in love with him and invited him to live in her modest home in the modern suburbs, near the sugar factory. Unbeknownst to her, Kirschweng was still married and had a family back in Samokov. In 1917, he found work as a security guard at the 10th Military Hospital. This job came with a service weapon, which added to his sense of importance. While working there, he fell for Tinka Nikolova, one of the hospital's orderlies. Tinka was young and beautiful, but she was also very religious. She refused his marriage proposals because she knew about his relationship with Vangelia. Determined to win Tinka's heart, Kirschweng devised a clever plan to get rid of Vangelia, unaware of the potential consequences of his actions. One day, Kirschweng came home from work looking very worried and scared. He told Vangelia Yurdanova that he had stolen a large amount of money from the hospital, and he feared that his plan would soon be discovered. In response, Yurdanova suggested that they both escape the country. Seizing the opportunity, Kirschweng agreed. He asked her to write 2 letters, one to her mother and one for him to show to the authorities. In the letter to her mother, she would explain that she had taken 15,000 leva from him and had to run off to Serbia. The letter for Kirschweng to show would state that she had robbed him. Meanwhile, she would actually travel to Serbia to wait for him there. Kirschweng had promised Yurdanova that they would run away together to Dalmatia, where they could live happily. But first, he told her they needed to find the stolen money, which he claimed was buried in a cemetery in Malashevtsi. On the night of July 12, 1919, the couple took a shovel and a spade and made their way to the burial site to dig up the supposed treasure. Once they arrived, Kirschweng said he was too tired from working all day and asked Yurdanova to do the digging. Oblivious to the danger she was in, she started to dig for about an hour. When Kirschweng decided the hole was deep enough, he pulled out his service weapon and shot her in the back of the head. Afterward, he buried her body in the very hole she had dug. The next day, Kirschweng arrived at the hospital looking sad and teary-eyed. He told Tinka Nikolova that Yurdanova had tricked him and run away with another man to Serbia. For the next few days, he walked around the hospital like a ghost, constantly repeating, "Vangelia fled with a lover." This sad act won Tinka's sympathy and love, and she agreed to marry him. However, he then confessed to her that he still had a wife back in Samakov and that they were not yet divorced. To convince Tinka to marry him anyway, he told her that his mother was a Muslim. He suggested that they could get married by the Turkish mufti in town. Tinka agreed to this plan, and they both accepted the Islamic faith, renaming themselves Shakir and Aisha. This way, they began a new life together, with Kirschweng believing he had successfully escaped his past. Despite his new love for Tinka Nikolova, Kirschweng couldn't shake off the thoughts of his wife, Elena Manova, and their children back in Samakov. This troubled him deeply, leading him to decide he needed to get rid of Elena as well. Later that same year, he hired a cart driver named Dimitar Svetkov to take him back to Samakov. Upon arriving, he told his family that they would be moving to Sofia to live with him. On the way back, near the village of Pancharov, Kirschweng asked Svetkov to stop so he could take Elena for a walk along a nearby path. While the driver took the children towards the capital, Kirschweng led Elena to the bushes, claiming he wanted to show her his newly acquired cherry garden. Once they were out of sight, he brutally killed her with an axe. When Svetkov returned, he noticed that Kirschweng was alone. Kirschweng calmly explained that Elena had decided to visit relatives in a nearby village for a couple of days. The unsuspecting driver believed him and drove Kirschweng back home. During the ride, Kirschweng cleverly hid the bloody axe in the back of the cart. Upon arriving, Kirschweng wasted no time. He rushed to the police and falsely accused Svetkov of murdering his wife. The authorities soon discovered the bloodied weapon, and without much evidence, they sentenced the innocent cart driver to death, later hanging him for a crime he didn't commit. After this tragedy, Kirschweng returned to living with Tinka, but soon grew tired of her as well. He decided to eliminate her too. He took her for a walk to a secluded path in Gorna Banya. When they reached a quiet area, he attempted to strangle her. However, Tinka fought back and screamed loudly enough for people nearby to hear, which led to the police being called. Kirschweng was captured and sentenced to death for his crimes. During the trial, the judge considered the fact that executing Kirschweng would leave his children orphaned and without support. As a result, his sentence was reduced to 17 years in prison. While incarcerated, Kirschweng worked as a lumberjack, earning money that he sent to support his children. Kirschweng was released in 1937, but he found himself without any money. Desperate, he visited his aunt, Evtemia, his father's sister, who owned a small shop in Sofia's Podyuin district. He pretended that he had borrowed 2 leva from her and wanted to return it. Evtemia accepted the money. As she turned to get some raspberry-flavored sweets for Kirschweng's children, he brutally killed her with an axe he had brought along. Afterward, he searched the shop for more money but only found 20 leva, which was not enough. Feeling greedy, he went upstairs to Evtemia's apartment but found no cash there either. In one of the rooms, Evtemia's 85-year-old husband, Ivan Stradkov, was sleeping. Kirschweng barged in and threatened the old man, demanding money. Stradkov showed him his wallet, which only contained 2 leva. However, Kirschweng noticed a golden pocket watch, a treasured gift from Zadkov's time as a volunteer during the Battle of Shipka Pass. When Zadkov resisted, Kirschweng killed him with the axe. With blood on his hands, Kirschweng took the watch and other items he thought he could sell. He put up a sign on the shop saying it would be closed for 10 days and quickly left the scene. One of the shop's regular customers grew suspicious because the shop never closed. She contacted the police, who came to investigate and found the two bodies. There were no immediate clues about the killer. However, one investigator noticed that Zadkov's pocket watch was missing and began asking local watchmakers if anyone had recently sold a similar watch. Eventually, he found a pawn shop owner who reported that a man had sold a watch like that just 2 days earlier, describing Kirschweng. The investigators recognized Kirschweng from their records, and he was soon arrested for the murders. The trial of Socrates Kirschweng, known as the Killer with the Axe, started on February 22, 1937. A large crowd gathered, eager to catch a glimpse of the man accused of such terrible crimes. People whispered among themselves, some in shock and others in disgust, as they wondered how someone could commit such acts. Kirschweng's lawyer was Miljo the Balm Balsamov, a well-known attorney famous for going to great lengths to defend even the most notorious criminals. The courtroom buzzed with tension as Kirschweng sat before the judges. His confession to the magistrates lasted a grueling 3 hours. During this time, he shockingly admitted to being a sadist and expressed that he wanted the harshest punishment for the murders of his aunt and uncle-in-law. He even proclaimed, "Give it to me. If there's nobody to do it, I'll do it myself." This chilling statement sent shivers through those present. The very next day, Kirschweng was sentenced to death by hanging. However, his attorney was determined to not lose the case. Angered by the verdict, he quickly appealed the sentence to the Supreme Court of Cassation of Bulgaria, hoping for a different outcome. Unfortunately for Kirschweng, both the appeal and the request for clemency were denied. On the night between April 13th and 14th, 1937, Kirschweng faced his final moments. Before his execution, he made a couple of requests. He asked to be buried as a Christian, showing a hint of remorse, and he fervently wished that his children would never learn the truth about their mother's murder. The last plea revealed a part of him that still cared for his children, even after the horrific acts that he had committed. As the night wore on, the gravity of his actions hung heavily in the air, marking the end of a dark chapter in a tragic life.